Hello, and welcome back to my humble show. I'm your host for today and every other day, the Articulate Thinker. Hopefully, here to bring you articles and articulation straight from Articulation Station. So be sure to like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Don't forget to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it. Ow, I hurt my own eardrums with that one. I only have a few minutes. I'm on my lunch break right now. Last day of the week. Well, at least the work week. Friday. Get off early today after work, but I do have to go back to work for a little while. And yeah, before I do that, I'm going to do this. I'm going to talk a bit about, U.S. Attorney investigating Hunter Biden granted special counsel status. Here's the headline from Daily Wire. And there you see it. What I just read. No need to read it again. Scrolling down, I will read the rest of this article. It's a short article, so I can move on to some more information. I don't see how the Biden administration is going to get away with this. I mean, they get away with so much that I technically can see how they would get away with it. But I mean, in terms of appearance, it's a bad look. And how could they possibly think that this would be a good look for them? Maybe they are desperate at this point. I'm not really sure. But yes, weeks after the Hunter Biden slap on the wrist, kiss on the butt cheek, plea deal, the sweetheart plea deal, fell through thanks to a judge who saw through the sneaky blanket immunity exemptions, or whatever you want to call them, within the indictment, within the charges. Well, this is happening. So, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced on Friday that the Department of Justice has granted the U.S. Attorney investigating President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, special counsel status. Very problematic, if you ask me. Not that I'm a legal expert. If you are, feel free to disagree with me. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. ABC News reported that Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss, who was appointed by former President Donald Trump, which the Biden administration loves to emphasize, asked Garland earlier this week to be appointed special counsel, and Garland agreed it was the correct course of action, stating that he was appointed by former President Donald Trump is only somewhat relevant because he was appointed by Barack Obama before that. He was basically allowed to stick around. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But also, Donald Trump didn't exactly have the best record of appointing people, unless it was to the Supreme Court. Other than that, the swamp only got swampier, so it's not saying much. But it's an excuse for the Democrats nonetheless, an excuse for the White House. On Tuesday of this week, Mr. Weiss advised me that in his judgment, his investigation has reached a stage at which he should continue his work as a special counsel because he was doing such great work before that he needed a promotion. And he asked to be so appointed. So he didn't really want to answer to questions from Congress, so on and so forth. But now he's like, you know what? I would like to be even more involved in all of this. Even though there are legitimate IRS whistleblowers who have testified that he isn't exactly the man for the job. Well, in other words, he lacks a bit of testicular fortitude, but that is no problem for the Biden administration, who is in charge of the DOJ and essentially in charge of Merrick Garland, who is essentially in charge of David Weiss, who is essentially in charge of the Hunter Biden case, which will go on and on and on even further after supposedly wrapping up a couple of weeks. Well, not a couple of weeks ago, but even further back than that. It's just that the, again, plea deal fell through a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so where was I? Upon considering his request, as well as the extraordinary circumstances relating to this matter, you think, I have concluded it is in the public interest to appoint him as special counsel. And this appointment confirms my commitment to provide Mr. Weiss all the resources he requests, which is what we were told he had in the first place. So his two responses to all of this have been he had everything he needed in order to pursue prosecution, whatever that might have been, whatever that turned out to be, or not be. And now, he's like, you know what? I need some more resources because I didn't have all the resources that I needed in the first place. I didn't have all the clearance that I needed in the first place. See what I'm saying? We were being led to believe that they were all good to go. That if they needed something done, it was going to get done. He had his hands free. His hands were not tied by the Justice Department or by the Biden administration overall. He could do whatever he needed to do. And now he's like, you know what? I need to do more, actually. So they're now granting his request to do more, even though they led us to believe that he could do everything he needed to do or wanted to do in the first place. I know that there are, different levels to this. A special counsel is kind of the next level, but it seems like more of a cover-up at this point. Since it wasn't needed back when people, Republicans, whatever, not to get too caught up in labels, political labels, but people who were in favor of a special counsel a couple of years ago are now going to say, wait a second, why is this now happening? Why is this appointment now being appointed? Years later, after certain tax crimes statutes of limitations have run out, and also after, only after the plea deal fell through. What is it? A slap on the wrist, kiss on the butt cheek, sweetheart plea deal. Yeah, only after everything else failed, which again was supposedly under the control of David Weiss. So he was in charge of that mess, and when it didn't work out, the Biden administration, i.e. Merrick Garland from the Justice Department, is like, you know what, let's put David Weiss in charge of this, who is already in charge of it. Also, he is straight out of Delaware. Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss. You know who lives there? The Bidens. Well, I mean, that's kind of where they call home. That's what I mean. They have multiple homes, but yeah. Not a conflict of interest at all, though, right? Right? Because he was appointed by Donald Trump, who always knew exactly what he was doing in terms of legal matters. Not. All right. Garland said that the appointment reaffirms to the public that Weiss has the authority he needs to conduct a thorough investigation and to continue to take the steps he deems appropriate independently based only on the facts and the law. I mean, reaffirms? So you're unintentionally admitting that people needed to be reaffirmed because you were being questioned for obvious reasons? Not only that, it's like an unintentional admission that, again, he didn't have as much control as you claimed he did in the first place, since you have to now appoint him more control. I guess, am I reading this wrong? It just seems like an awful lot of unintentional admissions, acknowledgments, so on and so forth are being made here. As special counsel, he will continue to have the authority and responsibility, though I thought he already did. You'd say, if you disagree with me, that that's why the word continue is being used. I'm just saying. If it's just a continuation, there's not really a need for an announcement here, is there? Again, as special counsel, he will continue to have the authority and responsibility that he has exercised previously to oversee the investigation and decide where, when, and whether to file charges. Now, thanks for the reaffirmation, Merrick Garland. The special counsel will not be subject to the day-to-day supervision of any official of the department, but he must comply with regulations, procedures, and policies of the department. Garland said that the appointment affords the prosecutors, agents, and analysts working on this matter the ability to proceed with their work expeditiously and make decisions indisputably guided only by the facts and the law, since they care about facts more than feelings. But that's the Biden administration on down for you. Again, the headline reads, U.S. Attorney investigating Hunter Biden granted special counsel status. On to the tweets. Here's a tweet from Colin Rugg. Breaking. Biden attorney Merrick Garland, not just Garland, the attorney, but Attorney General, appoints U.S. Attorney David Weiss as special counsel in the Hunter Biden criminal investigation. The DOJ got caught doing the Biden crime family's dirty work and is now trying to save face. After making the announcement, Garland rushed off stage after a reporter asked, if Weiss had the authorities he needed, why does he need to be a special counsel? That's exactly the point I've been trying to make. Nothing but a facade. And immediately they were called out on it, and they had no answer because they didn't go out there intending to answer anyone's questions, even though, again, there is more than enough reason to ask questions. Here's a clip. Listen for the question.
I'm here today to announce the appointment of David Weiss as a special counsel, consistent with the Department of Justice regulations governing such matters. Thank you.
If U.S. Attorney Weiss had the authorities he needed, why does he need to be a special counsel? Do you still have faith in U.S. Attorney Weiss after the deal fell apart?
So that's obviously trimmed there. It's the announcement at the beginning of the very short press conference, and then the question at the very end of the very short press conference as he walks away, not taking any questions, of course, because they don't believe in accountability or transparency or clarity. I always have to say that as well. Clarity and transparency. That's what I always say. That's what they lack.
If U.S. Attorney Weiss had the authorities he needed, why does he need to be a special counsel?
So if Weiss had the authorities he needed, why does he need to be appointed a special counsel? I'm running out of time, even though I have a lot on my mind. That's why I'm trying to rush through all of this.
Do you still have faith in U.S. Attorney Weiss after the deal fell apart?
And of course, if anyone involved in this or in charge of this is asked questions and does proceed to answer, they will just say, of course we have faith. We have faith. We have all the faith in the world. Just like Joe Biden has faith in Hunter Biden, since he did nothing wrong, according to Joe Biden, even though a special counsel is now being appointed, but only after everything else, which I have already mentioned. Here's a tweet from Miranda Devine. Merrick Garland appoints David Weiss as special counsel. On Tuesday, Weiss, asked to be appointed, must be seen as the safest course for the White House. Refuses to answer questions. Well, of course. Of course. That's one of the first tweets I saw about this. I was listening to the press conference when it was live, the announcement when it was live. I was at work. But this was one of the first tweets I saw on the matter. Let me scroll down through some of these responses. See if there's anything that needs to be referenced. The DOJ obstructed Weiss in the past, but they must have had a change of heart. How nice of them. And this is a clip from the hearing, which involved the two IRS whistleblowers. Joseph Ziegler, who was at first known as Whistleblower X, but became known during the course of that hearing as a gay Democrat who was testifying against Hunter Biden, essentially, and the IRS, or shall I say David Weiss himself. Well, I shouldn't say he was testifying against them. He was just telling the truth, because some people believe in that sort of thing, unlike the people who are, again, in charge of this facade. I had this clip pulled up as well, but this is the same clip of him walking away, ignoring questions. But yes, the question remains, if Weiss had the authorities he needed, why does he need to be a special counsel? Do you still have faith in the U.S. Attorney Weiss after the Hunter Biden deal fell apart? And yes, as it says here, courtesy of RNC Research, Merrick Garland ignores. Here is a worthy clip, if I have time to play it. Just in, CBS News correspondent Catherine Herridge suggests Attorney General Merrick Garland, always leave out the word general, Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss as special counsel to protect the Biden family by blocking Weiss from testifying. Oh, that's another element of this. You know, it's kind of like how when these people from three-letter agencies get called before Congress and they're asked, reasonable questions, and then their responses. I can't speak to that because it's under investigation. All right, so Congress was talking about how they wanted David Weiss, among others, including the Bidens, through potential subpoena power, would be testifying in Congress in the near future, but not anymore, I guess, because this is going to hinder a lot of that since it's now, once again, an ongoing investigation. And he is now a special counsel. More loopholes than before. More hoops to jump through than before. If any one of these individuals is to be held accountable. Once the DOJ realized they wouldn't be able to push Hunter Biden's sweetheart deal through the finish line, the DOJ quickly sprung into action. Yes, so they're springing into action yet again to protect Hunter Biden while simultaneously springing into action to indict Donald Trump for everything, including drinking water incorrectly or something like that. Yeah. Remember when he held up a glass of water incorrectly as though he was struggling to hold it steady without it shaking, and everyone was talking about his health being in decline? Now we have Joe Biden fumbling and bumbling all around, and they're like, he's fine. Yeah. As suggested by Heritage, whoever this person is named Catherine Herridge, Weiss was appointed to delay a resolution on the Hunter Biden matter and to also stop Weiss from testifying before Congress. Just more corruption. So did she outright say it? No, but it seems to be the suggestion. Let me play this clip, 1 minute long.
A former federal prosecutor I spoke to just before this event said to me the appointment of a special counsel would have the effect of delaying a resolution on the Hunter Biden matter, in his opinion. And it would certainly delay any anticipated testimony from the U.S. attorney in Delaware to Republicans on Capitol Hill who have been seeking that testimony for several months.
Delayed how long? Until after election, possibly? Or until after the Democrats decide whether or not they want to replace Biden with another puppet. Joe Biden, that is. I don't know. It's all speculation, isn't it? But there's a lot of correlation to corruption going on at this point.
So it's an extraordinary development considering where the two parties were 2 weeks ago to wrap up this years-long case, now to the appointment of a special counsel that will have these broad authorities, most importantly, to continue this ongoing investigation, Margaret.
Catherine, and it really is interesting given that it was June 7th. The U.S. attorney said he had ultimate authority, and then again had said that, to Congress that he felt he had that. And now this Tuesday says, I need some independence to go further into this investigation.
And again, it's funny how even Merrick Garland states that David Weiss asked for this authority, which he supposedly already had. Either it's ironic at best because, again, there are levels to this in terms of legal authority to prosecute, or it's outright an unintentional admission of corruption. Although, who knows at this point, it could be intentional. Maybe they're going to throw the Bidens under the bus. I just doubt that, since it does appear that this is just going to be an effort to stall testimony and whatever else the Republicans were trying to enact. So, to people who are skeptical of Republicans, as they should be, as I am, it appears that they were actually trying to pull some levers, which is why the Biden administration and the Biden Justice Department are on defense here and feel the need to do all of this. I mean, clearly, that's the obvious interpretation of all of this. I don't believe that they are unpoliticized as, I don't know, Karine Jean-Pierre would have us believe that, the Justice Department is completely unpoliticized because a special counsel who was a special counsel for Donald Trump is now being appointed special counsel in regards to Hunter Biden. All right, so this is interesting here. A lot of people are pointing this out. AG Merrick Garland violates Department of Justice's regulations by appointing David Weiss as special counsel. Weiss works for Biden's DOJ and isn't eligible. Here's the relevant section, 600.3 legal codes here. I don't have time to really break all this down. Not that I have really had time to even look into it. All right. An individual named as special counsel shall be a lawyer with a reputation for integrity and impartial decision-making, which does not hinge upon whether or not he was appointed in one way or another by Donald Trump previously. Okay, it's not all about that. And with appropriate experience to ensure both that the investigation will be conducted ably, expeditiously, and thoroughly, and that investigative and prosecutorial decisions will be supported by an informed understanding of the criminal law and Department of Justice policies. The special counsel shall be selected from outside the United States government. I'm sure there are various ways to interpret that depending on who you ask and how many excuses they want to make, but that's highlighted there just for reference. Special counsels shall agree that their responsibilities as special counsels shall take first precedence in their professional lives and that it may be necessary to devote their full time to the investigation, depending on its complexity and the stage of the investigation. So it would be one thing if someone from outside of the United States government, so to speak, was brought in to clear up the misconduct in the plea deal, which was obvious, the immunity which was snuck into the gun charge or, diversion program, I should say. If someone was appointed from the outside to clear all of this up, it would make a little bit more sense. But it's basically an inside job, an inside investigation. And the guy who was in charge of the previous failed portion of the investigation is now being appointed even more power, which he supposedly had in the first place. To oversee what's next to come in this same investigation. So it's not transparent, but it's clear all right. Am I right? So that was tweeted out by Dagan McDowell, who works for Fox News. Just trying to make sure I reference as many people as possible. Benjamin Weingarten here makes the same point. The special counsel shall be selected from outside the United States government. People are tweeting this around. You'll probably see it somewhere else if you haven't yet. Otherwise, see it here first. How can AG Merrick Garland tab U.S. David Weiss to be special counsel while Weiss retains his position as USA? Okay, I think he might have forgot to add something there, but you get the point. The law says the special counsel shall be selected from outside the United States government. Yada, 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 bing, bang, boom. Okay, 16-second clip. I don't know what is said in this clip. Developing, says Chuck Calesto. Garland's appointment of David Weiss as special counsel in Hunter Biden investigation appears to be illegal per statute 600.3, which states the special counsel shall be selected from outside the United States government. So, a bit of a video here. Let me play it.
Qualifications for special counsel. The special counsel shall be selected from outside the United States government. The special counsel shall be selected from outside the United States government. David Weiss works for the United States government.
Whoop. Okay. A bit repetitious, but I think it's worth noting again and again and again. And we'll see if they run into some, consequences. Not that they believe in such things. All right, so today, AG Merrick Garland appoints David Weiss as special counsel in Hunter Biden investigation. June. IRS whistleblower Shapley testifies that he personally witnessed David Weiss claim that he was not the deciding person in whether charges were filed against Hunter Biden. And whether or not you believe the testimony of Shapley. Was his name Gary or Garrett? Shapley. Well, it still has been unintentionally admitted or acknowledged and or acknowledged that, well, he didn't have as much power as he proclaimed to have in the first place. And that's precisely why, once again, he's asking for more power. Asking. I mean, why would he want the power? Why? Why would he want to work for these people in the first place? Why would he want to go to Merrick Garland and say, you know what? Let me proceed further. Well, politicization is, well, it is what it is.
I'm here today to announce the appointment of David Weiss as a special counsel, consistent with the Department of Justice regulations governing such matters. In keeping with those regulations, I have today notified the designated members of each House of Congress of the appointment.
The Justice Department allowed the President's political appointees to weigh in on whether they're charged the President's son. I watched United States Attorney Weiss tell a room full of senior FBI and IRS senior leaders on October 7, 2022, that he was not the deciding person on whether charges were filed. That was my red line.
I'm here.
All right, so I don't have time for anything more. I had some other stuff pulled up. I had this clip of Jim Jordan, Judiciary GOP Chair Jim Jordan, highlighting why David Weiss cannot be trusted to conduct a thorough investigation into Hunter Biden. Well, because each time he responded to Congress with emails on the amount of power he had, this is before today, he would change up. He would change up his stance just a little bit. And Jim Jordan laid that out in this clip, which is not from today, I don't believe. But worth a watch, worth a listen, but I don't have time for that right now. I also had this article pulled up from NBC News. I wanted to get a little bit more of a left-leaning take, as NBC News usually is. Not always, but usually. But yeah, ain't nobody got time for that. I'll just read the headline and the caption here, and then I'll call it quits. Attorney General Garland appoints a special counsel in Hunter Biden probe. U.S. Attorney General, or not Attorney General. That's funny how when I'm supposed to say Attorney General, I just say attorney. When I'm supposed to just say attorney, I say Attorney General. U.S. Attorney David Weiss will be appointed special counsel in the ongoing probe of the president's son, Hunter Biden. So much privilege, so much power. And that's it. Almost a half an hour, but I have to go back to work right now. Actually, like 5 minutes ago. So, let's see here. Thanks for watching. Keep in touch. Keep in tune. New content is coming soon. Peace.